like we have both players in the game. The map is going to be Antigua Shipyard, which we got the chance to see DBS play against Show on. And Show demonstrated that if you get tanks in that key position right outside your opponent's base, it is so hard just to control your main. So many buildings end up being in range of that outside lip. It looks like Happy is ready to go. Beastyqt's ready to go. Is the crowd ready to go?
Yeah.
Is my co-caster ready to go?
Yes, son. I'm ready. Ow! I'm sorry, I didn't just do that.
You did.
Just erase it from your
recorded,
memories.
and it'll be on my archives at www.day9.tv.
Oh, damn it.
Immortalized. Excellent. Map is getting started on Antigua Shipyard. We are now beginning the second half of the matches for the evening. We have the first 6 best-of-3s out of the way with that bonus best-of-3 thrown in there as well. And the 8th best-of-3 of the night begins in the bottom right corner. One of the most consistent players of all time, I would label. It is Empire's Happy.
You know, I wasn't thinking about it, but Happy and Beasty are on the same team too. So these are guys that probably practice together quite a bit. So top left-hand corner of the screen, the yellow Terran, who I have been talking up this whole time, Beastyqt.
Look at that. Dude.
What a showman.
Dude, casting for dummies. Oh, build it right here. Okay. He's going to go ahead and re-rally back to his main mineral line.
That's awesome.
And I was really hoping he was on the team Beasty and his name was Cutie. There could be all the other players on Team Beasty, but no, he's Empire Beastyqt.
That's correct. That is correct. Practices with Happy and Cass, and you know, Empire is a really strong team here in Europe. And
with largely Terran
yeah,
players.
Basically the 3 best Terran players in the scene right now are on that team. So it's really interesting to think about because these guys are representative, Happy, Beasty, and Cass of top level Terran play in Europe. So who are they going to practice against when they're preparing to play each other?
And you know, I do think that is a big, I'd say, deficiency of a lot of Terran players' play is the lack of those consistent top training partners. I see a lot of Terran players who are good for the first 20-25 minutes. And that honestly sounds like enough in most circumstances. They'll get on the ladder, they'll have their strategy, they'll know the parts that their opponents aren't supposed to suspect, and they'll end up winning with those sort of unusual timing pushes. But then you watch a player like a Beastyqt or a Happy play, and they've had so many long games that they understand the basic flow of the matchup altogether. And it's those players who can succeed no matter how long the game goes versus those players who can only succeed in these little boxes. And that's what I think is we're really seeing demonstrated at this tournament today.
Oh yeah, that's what separates the men from the boys, as we sometimes like to say. So Beasty's going to make a second Marine here before an add-on, which makes me feel like maybe he wants to drop a factory. What do you think, Sean?
Well, I think I don't mind that that play. I mean, that's probably going to be the most obvious choice, but I'm still always a touch leery of delaying the orbital command that much. It looks like he is throwing down a reactor. I mean, we'll almost certainly throw down the factory no matter what following that up. But, you know, given that reactor, I would still anticipate some sort of Hellion play. Gosh, you know, I just do not like delaying of that orbital command that much when you really don't need to.
Yeah. Obviously you need those mules popping out, and that's the biggest thing. Supercharge that economy so that you can do whatever you want to do. There's the command center going down for Beasty. So 1 Rax command center for Beasty. There is a factory down already for Happy. So interested to see what he's going to do with this factory.
Doing some nice stutter step micro against that neutral building, making sure it can dodge any attack.
Funny story about Beasty. I was casting one of his games on Shakur's Plateau one time, and there was no neutral depot. And he built one of his own depots at the bottom of the ramp, and then later in the game he killed it. And so I messaged him, I was like, Beasty, why'd you kill your depot? He's like, no, neutral depot. And then he went back and watched the replay and laughed, and I giggled as well. And that's my story.
It's kind of funny to go into autopilot. I mean, you see that building. Look, he doesn't even kill it. He just lights it on fire and lets it burn down. What a badass.
What a pyromaniac. Beastyqt.
Second refinery down right now. Looks like Beastyqt is going to transition. I would anticipate into the Marine tank-focused play, getting up his factory very early, but not before starting to pile up a good chunk of Marines. Empire Happy, the biggest Banshee fan that ever lived, is in position to do some Banshee antics, but looks like he may do. I guess I would call it a sort of TVT style 1-1-1.
Yeah.
Just getting a lot of Marines, Hellions, and that medevac up, so that way he can end up pushing into the main with an early straight-up attack. Beastyqt now getting up his starport, his factory, continuing to churn out those Marines oh so nicely. And I honestly prefer Beastyqt's opening. It's just so solid. You don't even have to do any damage at any point.
I think there's going to be one moment in the game it's a little bit scary, and that's going to be when Happy comes. And look at that scan from Happy, right on top of all of Beasty's tech, knows exactly what's coming, and even sees these Marines in a really nice position. So I do think Happy's gearing up for some sort of elevator play, but where's he going to take it? He knows Beasty has Marines in a good position.
And you know, in this spot, I'm not so sure how much I like what Beastyqt's rolling with at this point. I mean, the sort of fakey to get the Banshee, but oh, yep, I'm actually getting a Viking. Delaying tanks this long can be a real issue. He's getting the Caduceus reactor. That increases medevac energy.
I think he's probably going to cancel that. He just wants, I think he just wants his opponent to think he's getting Cloak. Keeping Happy honest, but I really don't know. And this is a really scary moment. There's Hellions and Marines, and Beasty does not have much of an army. He's going to have to pull SCVs to defend. He's going to lose another depot, which means he's not going to be able to produce units. He's already supply blocked. Oh dear, Happy is going to be... This is a really effective push.
But it looks like that medevac is already starting to take a good chunk of damage. He's trying to pull back, trying to get into a better position. Beastyqt still continuing to produce. He does manage to pick off the medevac. The Hellions are trying to dart on up. He's picking them off one at a time, but this one hero Viking is going to be able to do a good chunk of damage. And oh no, the bunker finishes, but nothing's out.
Beasty just might be dead here, Sean. He doesn't have any units. He's supply blocked until he loses SCVs. He can't even build anything. A Marine has popped out into that bunker. And Beasty will finally clean this up, but look at how much damage he... Oh my God! Look at the worker tab right now. 30 SCVs to 14.
Ugh.
Ouch! Ouch! Ouch!
Ooh.
Ouch!
Almost any way you look at it, that was very clearly a successful attack by Happy. But keep in mind, there are some deficits that you suffer when you're in Happy's position. No matter how much damage you do, your expansion a little bit delayed, but as we see, he's managed to catch up in that regard. His Marine count, his tank count is a little bit behind. And with these distances, I do think Beastyqt has some opportunity to recover. Did that Banshee pop out? It did. He did let that finish. So, I mean, this is one of the issues with trying to do this little fakey, swappy thing.
Yeah.
You are so delayed on your tanks. It would have probably been better just to say, well, you see what I'm up to. I'm building tanks and Vikings, and there you go.
Yeah, and Happy's already got 2 Vikings out, so he's going to be so safe against this Banshee harass. Beasty's going to kill like 4 or 5 SCVs, and that's going to be it. There's even a turret up, so this Banshee's going to have to turn around. Viking does take a couple of shots, or just a single shot, and Beasty gets out of there. Just 3 SCV kills. That's not going to be enough to obviously offset all the losses he took with Happy's push. 32 SCVs to 21. What can Beasty do to come back here, Sean?
Well, I think Beasty's doing the smart play, which is just to end up playing quite passively, focus on those tanks, make sure that he's defended from all the very vulnerable angles. That's why I like this move to get this reactor starport up and begin churning out Vikings as quickly as he can. The Viking count is going to allow him to get a lot of map control. Ordinarily, Hellions would be the big map control unit, but given that there's not much maneuverability for the Hellions when tanks are sieged up at the front, this is a good way for him to start locking things down. He does have that one Hellion out in the center of the map. And there we go. There's the Viking production 2 at a time. And Beastyqt looks like he's popping on over into a mech mixture.
Yeah, interesting switch, especially when his initial opening really didn't favor it that much. No blue flame upgrade yet, but he does have siege mode done. Happy's pushing out across the center of the map. I don't really see this push doing that much damage, as Beasty does have quite 3 siege tanks out. He'll probably have a 4th one by the time Happy arrives. And it's going to be it's tough to advance your position into siege tanks.
But it looks like Happy is doing the usual siege up on the low ground. Just going to begin working away at everything in yonder main. This is the reason that you need to have a lot of Vikings. You desperately need control of that airplay. And the point defense drone, and he does manage to pick off a Viking. But the production is a little bit ahead for Empire Happy. He's just going to try to work through that point defense drone just to brute force it, and it looks like he will be able to pick off that one single Viking. And right now, in the Beastyqt camp, it's looking a little bit grim. Happy is desperately trying to get out more Vikings. A single Viking at 13 health. It's so dangerous.
Man, yeah, and Beasty's just not really in a position to fight these Vikings. Happy's doing a really nice job of double pumping Vikings. He's got air superiority right now, and he's going to maintain air superiority as long as he matches Beasty's production, which is exactly what he's doing right now. So Beasty, you know, he's having to relocate both these factories. This sucks, man, because he hasn't been able to produce tanks this whole time.
Empire Happy just playing clean and simple. Leads with the Banshee, tries to absorb some hits, picks off the one at the back. Ugh. He loses the one factory for nothing. It looks like it's a Viking versus Viking battle, and I do think that Empire Happy is going to come out more and more ahead. Happy has not missed a single double Viking production at any point.
I think cycle.
Cycle is the word.
But
double production thing. He hasn't missed it.
Yeah, and he's just been on top of his macro in general. He's up to 94 supply. Beasty's been hanging in there, 76 supply, but he's still about 18 supply down. And I mean, the army of Happy is just so much bigger. If we look at the army value tab, he's got 1,000 more minerals, 500 more gas invested in that ground army, and you know, Beasty's not going to be able to bust out against. He's going to be contained for a long time.
We see Happy continuing to scan, finding any vulnerability he can. It is all about the Vikings right now. And oh no, Happy may have made a big blunder there.
Trying to focus down the Raven, and he takes a few extra shots. Oh man, but as soon as he does, Marines come forward and pick off another Viking. It is right now, where's the 4 Vikings for Beasty to 5 Vikings for Happy. So still, in spite of that mistake, Happy maintaining that air dominance.
Beastyqt could attempt to go for a big air transition, try to suddenly pop forward with a bunch of Banshees, a bunch of Vikings, but look at how brilliant Happy is. Happy did as much damage as he could. He scanned, he prodded, he scanned, and said, no, I can't really seem to break this.
Yep.
And then just fell back. No reason to try to contain your opponent aggressively with high ground all around you, right on the verge of losing air control at any point in time. He's going to calmly pull back to this central watchtower, cut off any Hellions that try to swing around. Do they have Blue Flame? Doesn't look like they do yet.
No, they don't, but I don't think Happy knows these Hellions are here, and he does not have anything in his natural at all. And look at all these SCVs lined up moving to the third base, Day 9.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
huge
nice shot.
Huge shot there. 8 workers dying instantly. And Beasty's going to kill a lot more. Happy's in full retreat, coming all the way back to deal with this. He will, of course, eventually clean up these Hellions. But that was a really nice move of Beasty. And if you look at the income tab now, 50 workers to 50 workers, and the armies, they're starting to get a little bit closer.
This is one of the main reasons why Happy needed to pull back in a position like that. He's so vulnerable to any kind of aggression back in home base, and considering Beastyqt is nicely defensively planted, I do like that retreat again by Empire Happy, but Beastyqt still managing to find a hole in the defense. Yeah. And now Beastyqt does manage to finish his second barracks, and now he can finally go back to adding on more factories. And at this point in time, Beastyqt still on the uphill battle.
Oh, Beasty is, you know, he's taking his third base, but I don't think he realizes that Happy's about to come knocking through the rocks here. And I'm wondering, you know, is Beasty's position going to be enough to defend a push through this third? There's the scans going down from both players. They're trying to feel each other out. I don't know, man. Happy's already in a really good spot.
Oh, Happy has way more siege tanks in one spot. He'll be able to pick off all those siege tanks at the bottom, but it does look like he is out of range of... all the Marines and Marauders pop into range of the siege tanks, and they get completely annihilated. Beastyqt winning on air and ground by a little bit, but Happy has so many tanks.
Beasty really needs to lift this orbital, and that's exactly what he does. The tank advantage still heavily in Happy's favor. Supplies also favoring Happy. Is about 30 supply up right now. And, you know, I think Beasty's done a great job of trying to claw his way back in this thing, but he's still so far behind.
So many units continuing to churn out for Happy. And, I mean, if you go mech, the one tool you can always rely on is that you have more tanks. That should be the way that the game plays out, but we see only one factory with Tech Lab for a long time. The second one only just now finished. So suddenly that one tool for Beastyqt is gone. Happy's the one leading in the tank count, and he has to try to gradually, gently maneuver forward to pick off these tanks.
Yeah, Beasty is using these Vikings to, you know, spot and to just hammer back Happy slowly but surely. Some Hellions are going to run forward and try to pick off a siege tank, and they will be successful. And so, you know, Happy losing a little bit of ground there. He's going to go ahead and reposition his, well, I guess a second hit squad in the center of the map here. He might be trying to set up some sort of big multi-prong push. You don't really see that often in TVT.
I mean, Empire Happy has literally every advantage going for him. He might even just poke up to the main again. Right now, Beastyqt, ooh, that's a surprising move, getting 2 reactor factories. Instead of going for the 3rd tech lab, you'd think he'd want to try to catch up in tanks a little more aggressively.
Yeah, it looks like, in fact, he's just content to sit outside of Beastie's range. We see another starport coming down here for Beastie. What in the world could this be for?
I do think it's an interesting choice to start emphasizing air a little bit more, saying, you know, if I have the opportunity to get out 1 or 2 Banshees, or even maybe go for those battle cruisers, that could be a big tool of mine to begin picking off this gigantic tank count, because Happy doesn't even have that many Marines. He does have 13 Marines, but he has a single barracks that can produce Marines 2 at a time. The rest seem to be devoted to Marauders.
Yeah, Armory is finishing up for Beastie as well. He's going to get some of those vehicle upgrades. Not adding in any Thors just yet, but that's a consideration he might want to make. They do help in dealing with Vikings and any other sort of air support. And, you know, I have to wonder, Sean, I have to ask, is Happy being too patient? He's sitting back and he's not really pushing the issue, and he's not really pushing the issue, and he's just giving Beastie all this time. And, you know, it's completely possible that he might be waiting too much.
I mean, I think it's reasonable for Happy to go into a little bit more of a passive mode, but you can do things like plant offensive sensor towers, do these kinds of aggressive expanding maneuvers, plop down a command center in the middle. I mean, the fact that these Hellions are able to swing in is kind of unacceptable, because now it looks like Beastyqt is going to get another huge chance to swing back into the lead. Oh no! Oh, he has lined him up, Mr. Bitter.
Oh, so many SCVs going to go down here. It's not game-ending economic damage by any stretch, as some Marauders do pop out and clean that up, but it is enough to maintain a worker lead here. So we see Happy repositioning as if he wants to maybe siege up on the low ground and push forward, but Beastie, with so many Vikings out, he has 13 Vikings to the 11 of his opponents. So it's kind of tough for Happy to advance his position too much. And you know, both these guys are going to max out, and if it comes down to upgrades, Beastie's ahead there. How do you see this unfolding?
Ever so slight in amount.
Yeah, I mean, he's +1 vehicle weapons against none. He's also working on ship weapons, which is very important.
And more Blue Flame Hellions managed to sneak on by. It looks like the Marauders will be able to intercept these Hellions, easily picking off one and completely whipping the second one. Ooh, God, why are every single SCV lines like right there in front of the Hellions every single time?
Yeah, seriously. Turn off your hacks, Beastie. That was it happens too often. So the scans going down by both these players. You know, Happy has managed to secure another base down here at the, I guess, around the 6 o'clock position. Look, another Hellion drop right down here in this corner. Beastie knows it's here, so he's going to be able to ransack this expansion as well. Also, another command center floating over to the top right-hand main expansion.
Oh no! Oh, here it goes. Oh, Happy. Gonna lose almost all these SCVs for certain. Goodbye, Econ. He's bringing the whole army. Every single one of those units is moving down there. Beastyqt really putting Happy through the ringer.
Yeah, and Beastyqt is just, he's harassing, he's multitasking, he's moving around the map, and he's making Happy reposition constantly. And he's kind of, don't do that, Beastie, you don't want to do that. Oh.
Well, I was doing some aggressive scouting, Mr. Bitter. It didn't pan out.
No, not in the slightest. How does that even happen? Because I don't think it was a rally point if 3 tanks are all together. I'm just going to chalk it up to who the hell knows.
A mystery of magnetism. And now it looks like an engagement will possibly occur right now. Empire Happy does have more Vikings. Both of them have nearly identical tank counts. These medevacs continuing to drop these workers. I mean, if we go to look at how many workers have been killed, Beastyqt slowly pulling ahead in that unit station. We see both of them have a lot of workers.
Here we go.
And the point defense drone does. It does
go
land
down.
in time.
Yes.
Nice play. We do see that there is one cloaked Banshee doing a lot of damage. I cannot tell who is going to be able to come on top. It does look like the Viking lead is far in Empire Happy's favor.
Happy winning that fight decisively. A huge win there for Happy, and now there's Vikings parked right over Beastie Siege tanks. he's going to have to unsiege and back up, and it is going to be so hard for him to come back from that.
And yet again, Beastyqt manages to land a nice drop. We see more Blue Flame Hellions all over the place. There is incredible amount of economic harass. The South expansion is quite vulnerable yet again. We see 14 Vikings out for Empire Happy. Vikings are only able to be produced 2 at a time for the yellow Terran player.
Happy also has a Ghost and a Nuke, and where is it going down? There it is. Interesting choice of nuke location. I guess just saying, okay, Army, back it up. You're not allowed to park right there. And you know, I like the use of late game nukes in TVT because this is such a positional match. It basically cuts off portions of the chessboard, if you will.
I do think that adding on more nuke silos is going to help a lot. You can begin planting some aggressive nukes, one here, completely clearing out this space and allowing you to reposition on the northern end. Yet again, we see Beastyqt slipping out with a couple more Blue Flame Hellions.
Yeah, he's just relentless with this harass. He's also floating over and trying to secure another expansion. That's going to be very, very important if he can land it, but I would be very surprised if Happy allowed that to go down.
Oh, and the top right expansion is as good as dead. We see that 2-2 Marauder gets eliminated. And
Yep.
Beastyqt with the little sneak expo. We see more SCVs being transferred literally every single time Happy decides to transfer SCVs.
It's like, oh look, Blue Flame Hellions
Blue
are
Flame
in my
Hellions
expansion.
right there. Oh, wow.
Happy's like, not again, not this time. Where did the Hellion? Oh, they actually loaded up into the dropship. So look at this. Beasty just relentless with the Hellion harass. He just kills so many SCVs here. He's up to 46 SCV kills. Most of these workers will be transferred away to safety before Beasty's able to do any more damage.
Or he does manage to get a couple more on that last final shot, and with that big distraction, now Beastyqt is starting to do the big advancement forward, and it looks like Empire Happy did get the siege up advantage. Oh no, Beastyqt has essentially sacrificed 5 siege tanks and is now focusing on the destructible debris in his dying breath.
I hate rocks. Yeah, Happy just getting further and further ahead here as Beasty's struggling to find a good engagement. He just can't seem to make it happen. There is a couple of Thors out. Oh, this is really cute.
Oh no, Empire Happy with the offensive mules forces the unsiege, and then he lands all the Vikings. Empire Happy with an amazing tactical maneuver. All the tanks not properly sieged up in time, and Empire Happy cleans it up.
That was absolutely awesome use of the mule and then just moving in there when the tank's unsieged. Very well played there by Happy. He has played an excellent game from beginning to end, Sean. And you know what? He's just outplayed Beasty here.
I mean, Beastyqt is doing his best to try to recoup, building up an appropriate army. We see some Thors out, and oh, it might be the transition into mass air. That may be his only remaining option. He does finally have air superiority as all those Vikings were landed for a decent amount of time. And again, we don't have that many Marines out on the field.
Yeah, so Beasty is going to clean up every single Viking. Now he's got a couple Banshees in the mix, so this is a little bit interesting. If nothing else, it's going to buy him some time. Forcing Happy to get something to cope with the Banshees, because Banshees, you know, with Viking support, they can literally kill everything on the ground there. Well, except for these Marines.
And there's the cloak, the rescan. It looks like he'll be able to pick off those Banshees. I mean, the Banshees, though they can do a lot of damage, also take a huge amount very, very quickly. South expansion hasn't really been harassed in a very long time. Beastyqt's harassment kills off a couple more SCVs, but
yeah, at this point, Happy doesn't really seem to care. He's just basically using mules to fuel his mineral income and mining gas everywhere else.
And saying thanks for freeing up the food. Yeah. I mean, he just has so much
17
army.
siege tanks, 20 Marauders, 3 Thors, a couple Vikings, and of course, rounding out the rest with some Marines. Beasty continuing to be a little bit aggressive with his positioning around the map, which is a little bit questionable, but I guess, you know, what else can he do in this position?
I mean, Beastyqt kind of has to go for an expansion like the center one. He doesn't really want to, but what option does he have? I mean, his only expansion orbital on the map is actually just hiding up in the top corner, and it looks like Empire Happy is just going to go for it. The positioning is certainly better for Beastyqt, but when you have that many siege tanks, you don't need to position anything well at all. There's the good game. Empire Happy wins in power overwhelming style with really nice tank placement.
A 32-minute macro game, but it really doesn't allude to the fact that Happy was ahead for 31 of those minutes.